More Reimagine. Good morning, this is I Care I Move with Move More Reimagine. We are week 9. So join in. If you're not feeling particularly well today or you're out of sorts, then just do some of the movements, do what you can, and feel free to rest out if you need to. If you're feeling up for it, let's go through all of the motions and let's get you progressing on with your movements and your strength mobility. So first of all, make sure you've got space around you, it's safe, you're not going to trip up over anything, you've got your band, you've got a drink close by. I'm barefooted, so you can either have some nice trainers on or some nice stead supportive shoes. So let's move forwards in the chair. So we're going to hip walk forwards in, and then think about posture. So upright posture. So lifting up through the chest, opening out through the collarbones, sending the shoulders back and down. And let's start with a heel pump to get your circulation boosted. So coming into our circulation boost and getting everything moving, warm and lubricated. So you should be at the front third of your chair or up in standing if you're happy to do so already. Some of you I know are quite mobile, quite happy to be standing up straight away. Some of you are quite new still, so I'll stay seated for now and do what you can. As always, your safety is paramount, so stop and rest if you need to sit down at any point, do, but please do keep your feet moving just so that you don't feel faint or your blood pressure might drop if you stop suddenly, unless you feel so unwell. Please do let us know how you're getting on. Okay, so let's take our hands down. Take your feet nice and wide, upright through the chest, and we're going to just lean to one side and use those muscles in your belly and your core to lift you up to the top. Lean into the side. If you're sitting, keep both upper cheeks on the seat. So not lifting up at all if you can try not to. So what are we doing here? We're warming up through the ribs, through the waist. And this is good movement, a good movement for if you needed to pick something up off the floor. Excellent. If it feels uncomfortable, make it much smaller and then gradually add in that little reach further. Fabulous. Back to your march. This time, heel pump adding in your arms. So if at any point you feel too tired or your heart's racing, take your arms out, just move your feet. Now, what are my arms doing? My elbow's coming behind me and my hand is coming up to my ear. So it's a full shoulder movement. Oh, a little bit of a crunch there. Have you got any crunches going on? Hopefully not. Any pain, make it smaller. Excellent. Fabulous. Okay. And hold it there. We're going to take a little rotation to the side. So in seated, you can either take your hands to the elbows and keeping your knees. So what happens is sometimes your knees move, but that means you don't stretch, warm up through the ribs as much. So keep the knees nice and level. Alternately, you could slide one hand here down the thighs. If you're standing already, hips facing the front and a slide to one side and then the other. So you choose which bit you want to do. It's quite nice, this movement. Take your eye gaze with you and slow it down if you need to. If it's uncomfortable for you, slow it right down. And you know, if you find that you are uncomfortable or you're not warming up so well, you could always start before we come online. You could run through some of these movements and we'll send you the circulation boost video with the recording this week. So you can always start practicing these movements before you come in, because some people just need a bit longer to warm up. Okay, back to the march. And if ever you think, oh, I can't remember what my homework is, and you're standing in your kitchen, march. It's a good one. It's really good for your heart. It's really good for your breathing. And it's like a whole body movement, so don't underestimate a march. Fabulous. Okay, hands down, feet nice and wide, into the shoulder raise, so a lift and lower down. Press your shoulders down so we get some length into the neck and across the top of the shoulders. Press down, lift and press, a little squeeze up, press down, squeeze and press, squeeze and back to your march. So we don't need to take too long doing these because it is quite warm out. So feel free to get a drink whenever you need to if you're warm. It's really important to keep hydrated on these warm, humid days. Lovely. Excellent. Okay, similar movement, but slightly different. Shoulder circle. So I'll show you from the side. Slightly forwards, up to the ears, all the way back and down. You can see my arm comes behind me. Lift up, back and down. Ooh, up, back and down. And you should start to feel warmer now. Hopefully you do. So lovely shoulder circle. And it preps those shoulders for any of the bigger movements we're going to do shortly. Okay, back to your march. How big are your arms? Are your hands coming to your ears and back to your hip? Excellent. Lovely. Now, hold it there. Ankles. We're going to come into that ankle movement. So, heel down, toes lift and squeeze. Lift the knee, toe down. Press the foot forwards a little bit. Heel, pull the toes, squeeze. And if you've got arthritis going on in your body, sometimes, if you've got stairs, walking downstairs can be really uncomfortable in the mornings or whenever you have to use them. So it's really important that we move our ankles because we need mobile ankles to walk and to walk strongly and confidently. So you're lifting your knee. In standing, it's exactly the same. You're trying to get the heel, toe on the same spot. If you don't like this one or if it's uncomfortable, you can always just make a circle with your foot and then flex and point. Okay, let's swap sides. So heel, toe, heel, toe. Keep going. Lift that knee. It's not just a little slide, that's cheating. Big movement, okay? Lovely. If you don't like it or it's difficult for you to do, little circle one way and then the other, and a flex and a point is good as well. Ooh, little clicks in my foot. And back to a march. And then I'm going to stand up in a moment, but I'll show you the option for seated. So seated, it's making a circle, keeping your chin lifted. So think about moving your nose forwards and all the way around in one direction and then the other. If you're standing up already, it's that lovely hula hoop, forwards, side, centre, side, forwards, side, centre. So pick your option, just warming up the hips, the pelvis, the lower back. And this is a nice one to do if you've got backache. It just kind of releases everything. Lovely. Bend your knees. So you get maximum movement through the hips. And then let's do a whole circle. Ooh. One way, and then the other. I always want to burst into song when I say that. One way or another. My life revolves around music. I'm always humming or singing, so I do apologise. Okay, let's just go side to side. Side to side. Lovely. And that kind of warms your knees up as well, doesn't it, a little bit? And then let's come into our little Elvis knee. So if you're sitting, just move your knee side to side. It's difficult to do an Elvis knee and seated. And you can see, oh yeah, you can, not so much. And make sure you go in the opposite direction. Lovely, and then change legs. Go one way. And then we'll go back the other way. Excellent. And then we're going to come into a march. If you're sitting, you feel free to come up to standing, come up properly, walk around the back of your chair or wherever you're using support. And into an upright march. Think about your posture again. So feet under hips, not narrow. And let's add those arms. Lovely, David. I can see those arms swinging. Excellent. So we don't have to go really fast. We can really focus on the big movements. If you're quite confident in adding some speed, that's fine. But don't feel you have to. Some of us need to think about foot placement or holding on maybe still. So you do what's best for you. Okay, so into endurance, we're going to tap to the side and slightly forwards. So keep your arms nice and still now. You can hold onto the chair if you need to. You could hover. You can press one hand or a finger, but try not to grip on, okay? Slow it down if you need to. Seated, it's exactly the same. It's a little tap forwards. Remember in seated, if you're staying seated, it can be quite strong into the legs when you're sitting forwards and trying to move your legs. So always feel that you can have a little full back rest, just to rest out if you're doing lots of legs. Okay, back to your march now. Keep breathing. So in this part, in endurance, you might get a bit puffed out. That's what we're looking for, but not so much that you're like, and not so little that you're skipping around. Okay, so we're going to come into a little side step. So we're going to step together, step together, step together. So nothing too difficult. If you're sitting, you can tap out and bring that foot back in, or you could go out, out, in. Even. As long as you're taking one leg out to the side and bringing it back in, that's fine. So, can you start lifting that knee? So lift it back. So lift, up and over, second leg, up and over. And again, take your time with this. We're asking you to lift that leg so your hip is working quite hard. Lovely. And because we're lifting the arm, the legs, it's going to make your heart raise a little bit more. You can add in an arm here or two if you're happy to let go. You could do a little brain gym and go alternate arms. You could add a little side lift. Jess likes a little side lift. Whatever you feel like doing today. And then back to your march. So this is your time to just recover slightly. We want to keep your heart rates quite high, or not quite high, at that level. So you should be about 5, 6, 7 in that score where we say, how do you feel? 10, you've just done a marathon. 0, you've just got out of bed. So you should be able to say, I'm okay, Pat. But you should be able to still carry on. If you're not, if you're too puffed out, make it low. Make everything smaller, slower. Okay, you know how you feel. Write it down so you keep an eye on it. Okay, next one. So just watch for a moment. I'll show you without the chair. We're going to side step, dip down. I'll show you from the side. So it's a wide step. Stick your bottom out a little bit, but keep looking forwards, okay? It's not this. Okay, it's just a wide step. Now, if that's difficult for you, just step wide, holding onto the chair and come back in. Step wide. And not as wide if it's difficult. So just a smaller step. Okay, how do you feel? Little wide step. Come back in. Wide. So it's basically a wide squat. So really working through the leg muscles, the muscles in the bottom, but also working on your balance, your coordination, and your confidence. Fabulous. If you're too out of breath, have a rest and just lift those heels a little bit. Good. Lovely. And then let's come to just a heel lift. How do you feel now? Because that's quite strong into your legs. Breathe. Breathe. Excellent. Let's do some arms. Let's go. Shoulders, head, shoulders, hips. While we're marching, shoulders, head, shoulders, hips, shoulders, head, shoulders, hips, shoulders, head, shoulders. We're going to add on shoulders, head into a V, V, head, shoulders, hips, shoulders, head, V, head, shoulders, hips. You know what I mean? Head. I was getting muddled up. Shoulders, hips, shoulders, head, V, head, shoulders, hips. Lovely. Leave the arms out. Just a slow heel lift. Shake your hands out if you need to. Excellent. Oh, breathe. Okay, we're going to side step 2. So 1 together, 2 together. 1 together, and I'm sliding my hands across the chair. So I've always got something to support me if I need to. If that's too much, if it's too far, just a single step is fine. If you're sitting, back to that single step or the single tap out. Lovely. Step, 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 together, step together, step together. Oh, lovely. Do you feel any more confident on week 9 doing any of these moves? Let us know if you do. Because sometimes that repetition of these movements just makes you feel more confident, and you might not realise it until we ask you. You go, actually, it was quite scary at first, and now I'm okay with it. Or you might still be quite scared. Okay, back to your march. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Lovely. Oh, I was going to build in. I was going to do some fartlek. So you didn't do fartlek last week, did you? So keep your heels, feet moving. I'm going to introduce to you fartlek training, which is interval training. Keep your feet moving. And we're only going to do 2 rounds. So this is really building up your heart muscle. And we work through a round of, we'll just do knee lifts, okay? And I time you for 20 seconds, and you can add knees, arms if you want to, and we want you to score about a 6 at the end of that round. Then we rest and we just lift the heels, and then we go again for another round, okay? It's okay to be puffed out a little bit, but again, you need to be able to do it within your own capabilities. We don't want to be too puffed out, but enough that we will start to make a change. So keep your heels moving, and I'm going to, oh, thanks, Nick. I'm going to Actually, Nick's going to time, so if you could just give me like a 3 second, okay? Ready? So we're going to go shortly. What the movement is, lift those knees up in front of you. If you're sitting to do it, I want you to sit back in the chair and lift from here, okay? If you don't think you're up to it today, just watch, please, because I know this is the first time for some of you. So feel free to just watch, but please keep your feet moving. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, and lift those knees. So not fast. It's a big movement. Now, if you've done it before, you can add in an arm or 2. It's the movement, it's the big movement. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just lift those heels. Take a breath. Long breath in and out. Notice how you feel. So where would you be on that 0 to 10? Are you about an 8, a 9? Make it much smaller. If you're about 5, 6, then carry on. We've got one more round, that's all. And as the weeks go on, we'll progress. So we're going to go again in 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to show you the biggest movement. You don't have to do this. You can keep hold of the chair. You can just do the arms, just the legs, or both. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just the heel lift. Small, small movement. Breathe, but notice your number. After class, write it down. Are you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? It's good for us to know. It's good for you to know, because as we go through the weeks, hopefully you still might be puffed out, but actually you might recover quickly in between. And you can hear that I'm puffed out, and it's good to be puffed out. So we're going to step together. And we never go high with cardio kind of work and then stop. We have to bring your heart rate down safely, properly, so your blood pressure comes down at a safe level. And you can get your breathing back. It's really good to be out of breath in a controlled way. It makes your heart muscles work more. It improves your endurance. So what we used to say as a coming up. And also, and how does that help us? It means when you're going upstairs or slopes, it might be easier. Some people struggle with that forever, but it's a different type of working. It's a different type of kind of way your body works with breathing and heart rates and things. So how's your breathing? Is it coming down? Okay, we're just going to take a nice wide step, hold it there, and into our wide base sway. Little press up with the hands, slowing it down, slowing it down. Notice your breathing. Just one hand presses up, one side and the other, one side. And if you were watching that bit today, let us know what you think. And you might go, oh my God, that looks scary. But you can literally add in different movements. You don't have to add the arms in. Like I said, you could just do arms and not legs. Just legs, no arms, any combination. Okay, no arms, just a sway. Still taking a couple of deep breaths every now and again. Notice your breathing. Back to a gentle, not a gentle, I shouldn't say gentle, a slow heel lift. And hopefully you should be feeling a bit more back to normal. Yeah, give me a thumbs up. Fab. So we're going to go into balance, but feel free to grab a drink, because that can make you out of breath and make your throat dry. So feel free to just grab a drink of water if you want. We're going to come into balance. Lovely. So I'll show you standing options and then we'll go into seated option. So we've been practicing tandem. We've been practicing single leg, so flamingo stand, flamingo swing. So let's go into tandem again. So how does that look? So I'm away from my chair far enough that I'm not going to kind of topple over as soon as I lift one leg up. So away from my chair that it will support me well. And then I'm going to take a step forwards, right in front, if you can. Now there's lots of variations. Right in front, lifting the toes and the heels, taking a couple of steps forwards. If that's too much for you, toes or the ball of the joint of the big toe into the instep. So like a little tiny pin step, we used to say, or a narrow step, okay? So you might well be wobbly. If we're moving, it feels better than just standing still, holding it. So if you have been holding on, so you might have chairs either side of you, you might have a worktop. See how you go. Think about your posture. So that will help if your hips are over your knees and ankles and your shoulders are over your hips, knees and ankles, you'll be in a better position to move forwards and backwards rather than kind of leaning forwards, because then it immediately puts you off kilter. It kind of changes your centre of gravity. Now, if you're happy with this, you could have a little walk around the room, or you could do a little Charleston, even. Because it feels like that, doesn't it? And actually, sometimes if you get into a rhythm, your body remembers it, your brain remembers it. In seated, carry on in standing. In seated, you should have been probably shuffled to the front, hip walk to the front third of your chair. And you can either take those steps, you can't really get 1 foot behind, but you could stay in a pin step, or you can just sit with 1 foot on top of the other and think about your great posture, because that will unbalance you and swap inside as well. Okay, or you can lift one leg. So that's the option in seated. So how does that feel in tandem? It's not something we need to do every day, is it? But actually, this is the most unbalanced you will be, unless you're on one leg, I suppose. But standing on 2 legs, this is the most unbalanced. Lovely. Excellent. And you could do this against a wall. If you had a wall, you could have one hand up against the wall. That's what we would do if we were in a live class with you, or we would have you between 2 chairs and we'd walk along the line. Fabulous. And use your arms to balance, that they're there to help you. How do we come out of that step? We step wide. That's your recovery step. That's your compensatory step to make sure you're safe when you come out of an unbalanced position. So let's practice that. Come into tandem and step wide. Into tandem, step wide. You might want to step back into tandem, step wide, back. In seated, you might want to lift a leg up and step wide. Remembering that our muscles remember these movements. So just alternate it forwards and side and back. And does it feel less? Kind of, do you become more confident the more you do it? Okay, now we just need to swap legs. Or swap sides, because we've done, and the tandem is the same, because we've been walking, haven't we? But we just need to balance, we just need to be stepping out wide on this other leg. So stepping forwards and wide. Stepping forwards and wide. Lovely. And if ever we have a wobble, it's okay. We step wide to recover, or you might want to step back or to the front, to the diagonal. So we will build these in over the week. We call it the clock face. So we step at different angles. But for now, we're just stepping in a tandem. Lovely, good. How does it feel on that side? Are you more wobbly, less wobbly, about the same? That's all lovely. Using arms is great. Excellent. Okay, and hold it there. How are we doing? Right, so that's your balance. We're going to go into a little bit of practice of standing up, stepping away. So come to your chairs, feel the chairs behind your knees, stick your bottom out and sit down. And have a breather while you watch. Are we okay? Thumbs up if you're okay. Okay, so I just want you to watch for now, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to hip walk forward in the chair. Don't do it yet, don't do it yet. I'm going to take my feet back. I'm going to lean forwards. You can take your arms forwards if you want to. I'm going to push up. What do we do at the top? We pump our heels. We're going to step away from the chair. Turn to face the chair. And step towards that leg. Hands down. Wiggle that back leg forwards. And all I want you to do is focus on bending this knee down. Just a couple of times. And then we're going to lift that leg back in, either one big step or a couple of smaller steps. You can pump your heels here. We can rise. Take your time. Get your sea legs, as they say. Just lifting the heels or squeezing the toes. Turning around. Feel the chair behind your legs. Push your bottom out and sit down. We're going to do this a few times. We're going to lead with your strongest leg first. We're going to do all of that and then sit down. And then we're going to lead with your weakest leg or your less dominant leg. Now, if you're just staying in seated, not just, if you're staying in seated today, I want you to start at the back of the chair. You're going to hip walk forwards, feet back. And if you want to try the bunny hop, you can. Here, it's just, or a jockey jump, it's just a lift and a press down. And then if you wanted to, you could stand up, pump your heels, step back. If that's all you want to do today, that's fine. So you choose what you want to do. You can do all of it, some of it, or you can watch if you're not that confident or not feeling up to it today. So lots of options. So not slowly, but don't rush this, okay? I'd rather you thought about great technique, feet back here, which is why we work on ankle mobility. Lean forwards, lift the heels at the top to push the blood up to your heart, to your brain, stops you feeling dizzy, your strongest leg forward, and turn around to face your chair. Your strongest leg steps towards the chair. Hands grip the sides of your chair or put your hands face down, palm down. And wiggle that back leg back a little bit. And then we're just going to bend that back knee. It just bends as if you were going to drop that knee onto the floor. And then take a step in. And then come up to standing. What do we do at the top? Lift your heels or squeeze your toes. Feel, oh my God, turn around. Feel the chair behind both of your knees. Stick your bottom out and sit down. And you should end up at the back of the chair. If you need a breather, wait a moment. Next up, we're going to use the weakest leg or the less dominant leg if you can. So how do we get out of the chair? We hip walk forwards in the chair. We take our feet back. And if you're struggling to get up, see where your feet are. They're behind my knees. I lean forwards, I'm looking forwards and then I'm looking up. I pump my heels, I lift my heels. So I don't feel dizzy. My weakest leg is going to step away. And then I'm going to turn around with a few steps, face the chair, go, hello chair. Step that weaker leg to the chair. Hold on to the chair with your hands Then we wiggle that back foot back a little bit more, so you're on the ball of your feet. And then we drop that knee down, as if you were going to drop that knee onto a stool or onto the floor. And that's quite a big movement in itself. It's a big stretch through the front of the hip. So don't be concerned if it feels quite tight. Okay, from here, either little steps in or a big step in. Pump your heels. Take your time, come up. Pump your heels again. Turn around. Feel the chair behind both of your knees. You shouldn't need to look at your chair. Stick your bottom out and slowly sit down. Fabulous. Are we okay? Let me know how you got on doing that. So it's difficult for us to see your knees, so stay there. And I just want to show you this bit again in a bit more detail. So if I haven't stepped really close to my chair, if I've stepped away, I'm not going to ever get that knee down. The aim is to get this knee down to the floor. If I'm away from my chair, I'm not going to do it. That's why we step this close to the chair. And then we wiggle the back leg away. I'm strong through my arms, and I'm not really bending my arms at this point. It's not a press up. They can unlock, but I'm bending that knee down a little bit and down a little bit. And you can see that my eye gaze would be lifting. Okay, it's not a press up. I'm just trying to drop that knee towards the floor, and then I bring it back in. Pump if you need to. Always got your legs help you up. Take your time here. This is the part where you might well feel quite lightheaded. Take your time, and it's really important to feel the chair on both knees and then behind both knees, and then you know that you're there and you can sit down. Fabulous. Have you got your bands? Let's do a little bit of strength work. Oh. Good. Good work, team. So I've got my bands and even, and we are going to work on, let's do just on arms and legs. Let's do arms, because we haven't really done a lot of arms. So we're going to do one of my, they're all my favorites, aren't they? We're going to do dumb waiter. It's so good for us, especially if you've got shoulder niggles going on. It can be uncomfortable, but it can really help to strengthen your upper back and the shoulder girdle, etc. And if you don't have a band, or you don't want to use the band, if it's too uncomfortable, do it without the band. It's fine. So the band is across your lap, across your thighs, just opened out. We're going to take our palms up, facing up, slide the hands under the band, and then lift up through the chest. So you're in an upright posture. I'll show you from the side in a moment. So we lift the arms, so they're about waist height. My elbows tuck into my sides. Okay, from here, I'm going to take my arms wide. And if you've got a new pink band, I'm really sorry, they're really hard, they're really firm and very resistant. So they are harder than our older ones. Pull it back to your belly. Squeeze the elbows backwards and the shoulder blades together. Send it forwards, keeping that tension on. Release the tension and drop down. I'll show you from the side. And it's quite hard. It's quite strong into the shoulder blades. So this is what it looks like. So my elbows are kind of super glued in this area. So I'm going to lift my arms. I'm going to open out a little bit. So feel that resistance. Band to belly button, elbows come back, and squeeze the elbows towards each other. Send the hands forwards, release that resistance and drop down. And breathe. So just because I'm not moving very far doesn't mean I haven't got resistance on. So for me, here is quite a lot of resistance. If you've got a green band, it's harder. So see how you go. So lift, open, pull back, squeeze the elbows together, send it forwards, release tension and drop down. And then you can wiggle jiggle. And again, so lift, we open, pull back, don't hold your breath, send it forwards, release and drop. So this time, breathe in and out the whole time. So lift, open, pull back. This time, we're going to take them hands out and in just about 6 times because you love this bit. And then send it forwards, drop down. How do your shoulders feel? Give them a little roll. So a really good exercise for you to practice at home. Like I say, if you just want to start practicing at home, you can pin your elbows into your sides and just start by taking your hands out as if you're holding a tray or just sliding the hands out. And it's working on that mobility in the shoulders. And if you're squeezing your shoulder blades, it's giving you a bit of strength as well. Lovely. Good. Okay, let's do a little hip mobilizer. So I've moved my feet forwards. I'm going to be careful putting this under. I'm going to lift my heels. I'm going to look forwards while I bring the band under my thighs. Drop my heels and sit up. Take my band, bring my feet together, knees together. Take my band over and then over again and just press down on the band. Okay, then I'm going to walk my feet out, knees stay together, lift through my chest, and then I take my knees out, feel that resistance, and slowly release. If you need to make it tighter, you can. Slowly out, and slowly back in. We don't want to let your knees ping back together because that's working the muscle, different muscles as you release it back in. So it's like a double workout. It's like a little workout as you go out and a workout as you go in. See, we're so kind to you. 2 for the price of 1. Out and in, and then we're going to hold it out. So hold it there, breathe. Hold it, or you can press, hold it, and slowly in. Oh, well done. Lovely. How does that feel? Working those thighs, the hips, inner thighs, outer thighs. So very good for you. Good. Lovely. So let's unhook that. Let's go to a little stretch. Then we've got Tai Chi and a bit of relaxation. And then you're done. So let's stretch off our lovely legs. So you need to be on the front third of your chair. I'm going to come at an angle so you can see what happens if I'm not the front of my chair. So I'm going to stretch the back of my leg. So I need to stretch straighten one leg. Now, some of us have short legs, you know who I mean. And so if my heel's on the floor, my leg isn't straight. So how can I stretch the muscle at the back? So that's why we hip walk forwards. Okay, then I can straighten my leg. See the difference? And then I can stretch the back of my thigh. So my other leg is going to act as a balance for me. So you can take it out a little bit or in front. My toes are pointing up to the ceiling. My hands come on the other thigh and I hinge forwards from my hip with a lovely long spine rather than a rounded spine because you don't stretch the back of the leg then. And just breathe. And if you can't feel that stretch, you can just take a breath in. And as you breathe out, you can lower your chest down a little bit more until you feel just a small, you can feel a stretch there going on. And then press yourself up. Keep the heel there, relax the foot off, and then we squeeze the toes up towards the knee for a calf stretch. So you should feel that into the muscles in the calf. Lovely, and then just point the toe and relax. Other side. So long leg, toes pointing up. I'm going to move this foot so I feel steady on the chair. Hands go on the thigh, keeping that lovely spine. I lean forwards and use my thigh to just support me. So we don't rest on your knee really, it's too much. It can be too much pressure on your joints. Just breathe, which gets oxygen to your muscles. Again, if you can't feel that, take a breath in as you breathe out. Just lean a little bit further into that stretch. And then we push up, relax the foot, and then a big squeeze, toes come towards the kneecap for a calf stretch. Hold it there, and then just point the toes and bring those feet in. Little arm stretch. So we're going to take one hand to the opposite shoulder, and you can leave it there, or you can just support the arm with the other hand and straighten off that arm and draw it into your body. So we're stretching out the back of the arms into the tricep muscles here. And breathe. Okay, then we're going to take that hand onto the same shoulder, walk the fingers down towards the center of your shoulder blades, give it a little nudge if you want to, and then lift through the chest. And breathe. If you can, take the feet wider, arm comes up. Don't worry if you can't, and your hand comes over your head, whichever way that might be. Fabulous. And come forwards and out. And little release of the shoulders. Opposite, a hand goes on the opposite shoulder. Leave it there, or support it under the top of the arm, and just lengthen through that arm. Breathe. Fabulous. And comes to the shoulder, walks down towards the shoulder blades, the center of the shoulder blades. Give it a nudge if you need to, and then lift through the chest. Take the arm up and over your head, just a little bit. And then forwards and out. Sending the hands to the back of the chair or into your lower back and squeezing the elbows together. Lifting the chin just slightly. Breathe in. And then sending the hands over the knees, round through the spine, drop the chin to the chest. Excellent. Come up to seated. Now we're going to go to Tai Chi, a little bit of Tai Chi. And you can stay seated or you can stand, whichever you prefer. I'm going to stand today. But feel free to sit. If you're standing, have the chair in front of you if you need to, or at the side. But we're just going to take a wide, slightly wider than hips. Oh, and breathe, just roll those shoulders backwards. Excellent. Okay. So let's start by just, if you want to add in the legs, you can, you don't have to. So we bend the knees, fingertips come together, and lift to chest height. And send them down, bending the knees again. Lift and lower, pressing down. Lift and lower. So nothing that overstretches your joints. It's all within reach, it's comfortable. Lift and lower. Okay, this time we're going to open the arms and we're going to come into this little beak on one side. This opposite hand presses down, other hand crosses. We open out and then we make a beak with the other hand, this hand here. This opposite hand presses, cross your body, other hand crosses. Open, and we make a beak with this hand. Cross, cross, and open it. And if you can see, if you're standing, if you want to add knee bend, you can. Knee bend, so you're in squat, open, and a beak. Cross, cross. Open and a beak. Cross. Challenge your balance. Eye gaze follows the hand that is moving. The beak. Cross. cross, and open. Beak, cross, cross, and open. Lovely. Bring your hands down. Feet come in a little bit into our lovely cloud. So both hands start on one side. The hand in front of you crosses your face. At the side, it drops, and the other hand takes its place. And both hands cross the body. At the side, they change one up, one down. It's that simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And don't reach too far. Same in seated. Little cloud, crossing your face. Dropping down. Brush it across with the other hand. Yeah, make sure you keep your eye gaze on the, if you can, if you're not dizzy, on the center of that palm in front of you. Might stop you feeling dizzy. And then hands back together, fingertips back, lift chest height, press down. Lift and lower and lift and down. Let's come into seated. So usual things apply. Feel the chair behind you. Bottom back, sit right back in the chair. Come into that full back rest, which can be a joy after an hour session. So feel that kind of comfort of your chair supporting you, supporting your back, your spine, your legs. And we're going to just come into a few minutes of relaxation, starting with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And just place your feet on the floor. And they're secure, they're even, and you feel safe and balanced. And then close your eyes if you can. If you don't want to close your eyes, just look down your nose, just point on the floor, and just breathe normally. And palms just face upwards. So your fingertips, your fingers are resting and relaxed. Your shoulders relax, all the muscles in your face relax. Teeth separate. And you just breathe. Breathing in through your nose. Just notice your body. You feel stretched. Hopefully you don't feel too uncomfortable. You feel like you've had a workout. But just know that you've moved your body, you've mobilized it, you've stretched it, and you're ready to face the day for whatever that might mean. And if you can just move a little bit every day, and the benefits will show in your everyday movements, in your mood, hopefully, and your strength and balance too. And just notice your breathing. Get back to normal. Maybe you're still a bit puffed out. You might feel fatigued for a little while. Have a drink afterwards. Have a lovely drink of water, a cup of tea. But do try to keep hydrated and you'll feel better for it. Then we start to move our toes and our fingers. Maybe move your shoulders. Come up to a more seated position. I'm going to hip walk in my chair. So I'm sitting upright. I'm going to roll through my shoulders. I'm going to have a big fat stretch. And a yawn if you need to. Or give yourself a round of applause for another pick. Well done. Thanks for joining us. If you're on Zoom, stay on and we'll have a chat with you. If you're watching later on, let us know how you got on. And we'll see you next week. So well done. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.